So when we're talking about the standards here, let's look at this first standard here. The first standard, and again, I will link this in our show notes, is the ISTE Standard for Education Leaders. Step one, or standard one, I should say, equity and citizenship advocate. And the standard reads as follows: leaders use technology to increase equity, inclusion, and digital citizenship practices. Education leaders, and then it goes on to some indicators. Now they gave 4 indicators. As I looked at the 4 indicators, there were 3 of those 4 indicators that I picked out that I felt esports does a great job of being reflected in, or as a vehicle to provide educators way to evaluate the benefits. So first of all, in standard 1, the second indicator, indicator B, says ensure all students have access to the technology and connectivity necessary to participate in authentic and engaging learning opportunities. Now for a lot of students, esports are authentic. 90% of children ages 14 to 21 identify as being a gamer. Those are males, and females around 60-65% identify as gamers. And what we're saying is using technology in a way that honors that interest, that is engaging for students, that is authentic in the learning opportunity for the students. Okay. Standard indicator 2, the second one I saw, which was C, says model digital citizenship by critically evaluating online resources, engaging in civil discourse online, and using digital tools to contribute to positive social change. Our world is a much bigger place than a lot of our students realize, and that's okay. A lot of our students don't realize how big the world is because their world sometimes is their town or their school. Very few students have a worldly view about things. Even in cities like New York City, where you have one of the largest populations in the world, you may still be defined by your neighborhood rather than the city as a whole. There are students I know in the city of Chicago who have never seen Lake Michigan, even though the city of Chicago is on Lake Michigan. They've never been to the beach. Students in Los Angeles, for example, who have never been to the beach. It's important for us to understand that esports, not just in engaging our students in the building, also allows them to connect into a broad global culture. South Korea, China, Brazil, Denmark, Spain. These are all countries that are esports heavy. And by connecting into these cultures through esports, our students then begin to see a broader connection into the rest of the world. Different languages, different worldviews. It is more important than ever for our students to be connected into that realm, and to start making questions and finding their own answers about their place in the world and how we all connect. The 4th indicator of the standard, indicator D, says cultivate responsible online behavior, including the safe, ethical, and legal use of technology. Toxicity. If you don't know what toxicity is exactly as it sounds. It's toxic. It's toxic online culture. And unfortunately, esports does have a problem with toxic online culture. Esports currently is very male dominated, and it doesn't take long to find toxicity in esports culture. You can do a search for it. What I'm proposing is that by broadening the umbrella, by broadening the tent and including more students into esports, what you're doing then is starting to shift the social pressure, to shift the social mindsets and constructs of the esports culture, because by broadening the tent, now you're bringing in more females, you're bringing in people of different perspectives. You're more normalizing what the esports culture needs to be, which is reflective of our society. And it needs to be more, it needs to be something that is a little more accepting. This is a fantastic opportunity that we have using esports as a vehicle for good social change, to bring in students who will, when a toxic situation happens, call it out and say, you can't say things like that. That's not appropriate for you to say here. To know that by broadening that tent, again, we are starting then to dilute the toxicity and push back against the toxicity online.